Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Coby Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening, this is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Coby, we are very happy to announce once again there are no reported murders in the city of, in the city of Wilmington.
Mm-hmm.
It appears that whatever the chief is doing or whatever the policing is doing and the people seems like it's cooperating. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this last week. They've even solved some murders as well, too. This is exactly the path and the trajectory we want the city to be on.
Yeah, and so while we will criticize when they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we need to say hats off and congratulations to whatever policing they're doing. But I also add to that some of the transparency that we're starting to get is probably what was needed so that we'll know where they are. Because lately we've been seeing a whole lot of updates, and we got some for today, as well as they're just you can see them in different places at this point, so that can deter some of the crime that is going on.
Absolutely.
Do you know anything about the? I know at one point the University of Delaware has started with where the people will be able to be in the cop cars, those who can help with crises.
Yeah, so that's with Christiana Care.
Oh, Christiana Care, okay.
And that's called the Consortium of Care, right? And as of right now, we only have 2 social workers that work through that program from 10 to 5. You see them on the street, they're in like green, well, during the summer, they're in green polos. They probably have long sleeve shirts for the winter time, but they ride. They're supposed to be the ones that deal with mental health crisis and stuff like that. Right. Again, that program still needs to be worked. It's in a pilot stage right now. All the kinks need to be worked out of it, and then therefore expand it throughout the entire city, and have it so that we have at least 2 of them available 24 hours.
Okay. Now, has there been any reporting on it? Like we've been able to solve this issue, that issue, or any kind of conversation about it?
So the first report is scheduled to come out this month. It has not come out yet. There has been updates. The chief has been very vocal about this, which is something that is good. The program has helped a little over 53 people so far. And again, this is a very narrowed, piloted program that has some benefits to it right now. But I think once it's fully operational and fully funded, we will really see a positive impact.
Good. Well, it seems like Sister Kathy Jennings is really working these last couple of months. Several things have occurred, and I'm giving hats off to her as well, because I was one of her critics as well. But I noticed that she's just did an indictment of a group or a gang called Magboyz.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so the group has a few different names.
Okay.
It's Exit 4, the Magboyz. They came earlier this week. Over 130 charges were filed against 10 different members of the group. And the charges spanned all the way back to January 2020, all the way up until, I think, November 2024. So again, it's various different crimes. The Attorney General talked about how big criminal gangs play a role in the gun violence that we're seeing on our streets as well, too. And how, sometimes it may be unknown to the public of what's truly going on. Sometimes innocent people get terrorized and stuff like that. So again, charges were filed against 10 individuals, a part of this group. And I'm sure she's probably working on more.
Yeah, and that's over a 4-year span. And what's really interesting, if you look at the ages of these young people, is very mesmerizing. These are young people. I think out of the ones I've seen, and I may not have seen all of them, I think the oldest one is like 26 years old.
Yeah.
So that's really young.
And I think the youngest is 18.
Right.
So
I don't know where it starts, because I'm not a professional in that area, but some of the crimes they're charged with is very heinous. And it's very, as you just talked about, it will cause some people to go to silence right away. But do you really believe that it is, that maybe it does contribute to some of the murders that are in the city?
Oh yeah, and then just reading through the document that they put out, you have one individual who was charged with 12 different counts of murder in the first degree, right? That's 12 different shootings, or 12 different incidents. Another one has 6, another one has 6, another one has 15.
Wow.
Like, they, the charges, right? You usually don't have multiple murder charges for one murder. It means it's been involved, they've been involved with a bunch of different incidents.
Yeah, sometimes internal terrorists is worse than external because you don't know who you're really fighting. And it's sad. I'm hoping that as we do all the research that we do, that somebody begin to research some of these inner cities and see what is causing them to go that route. Because even what happened with the gentleman who assassinated the United Health person. I mean, he was the valedictorian of his class. He come from a very well-to-do family as well. But he turned in one weekend. I mean, not one weekend, one summer, and it's just.
Again, speaking of that, right? So, I just want to start out. I do not condone violence, especially not murder. But when someone denies you the basic human right, you're paying into something and you say, hey, I finally need that money to help pay for something that's so critical for me. I'm in pain myself, and you get denied. Your mother gets denied. I had said from the very beginning that I had thought it was someone who probably had their case denied, right? And it was, right? It's very sick what United Healthcare has done to so many people. They kept $2.2 billion of money from individuals that they denied in 2023 alone, right?
Sad.
And they write that off as, oh, we made a great profit, right? And when I say deny, it's not just for little things. It's for, sometimes it is just for medicine and stuff like that, but it's things
Major
such as life-saving surgeries, cancer treatment, whether it's a part of your body that needs to be replaced, whether it's kidney, whatever. And they made people suffer, right? And it's so sad that all the attention has been put on, we can't have people killing CEOs. Well, what about the kids who are getting killed in our streets? Why haven't I seen this type of reaction from the elected officials, from the police, when a little child is killed, when, a grandfather is killed, right? That's what really concerns me. And, some people are, why do your mind always go to that? Because it shouldn't matter how much money you have.
That's right.
Every article has talked about, now people should have to pay for private security. Well, on the streets, I can't pay for private security, right? Absolutely. How about we fix the issue instead of throwing more money?
And corporate greed is the issue in this area. And I'm gonna recapitulate what Coby said. He is not, and I am not in any way condoning any type of violence, but we should be able to have the conversation.
Yes.
And that's what's missing with a lot of things that happens in our country. We get shut down because you're looking at, it was violent, so you should just feel sorry for the person who was the victim, which we certainly, our prayers and our thoughts go out to the victim's family. But what about us dealing with the real issue? And the real issue is corporate greed. And a lot of the things that happens even in our city, and we cater to the corporate folks. We cater to making sure the rich stay rich, and then the poor have no other outlets. And then when you see all this violence that are going on, all we talk about is the violence, but not any of the results of it. And that's one of the reasons why I brought that up. It's like we're at this place where we're getting a whole lot of people who are in gangs and they are arrested. But what even get them to a place where I need to be in a gang?
Right.
And these are the things that I really want us to start focusing our attention at. So I certainly pray for the family of my and his 2 children, his wife. Yeah. But what I will never do is silence myself, because the corporate greed is unbelievable. We got rid of United Health plans for the healthcare that we offer our employees here a couple of years ago because it's just too high and it doesn't cover anything.
Right.
It's just sickening, and he was a privileged individual, and he just realized, you know what, I'm going to deal with this. And I don't know whether no one knows exactly why he did it at this point,
right?
But I'm sensing that probably he did it so he can get some national attention spotlight on it. I don't know that as a reality. I don't want no copycats, but
the interesting thing is that same day. Blue Cross Blue Shield put out a statement that they weren't going to cover anesthesia and for the full surgeries in New York, Connecticut, and I believe Rhode Island or New Jersey, one of those states. And it was going to be a pilot. They were going to soon launch it throughout the nation. Within 24 hours, they put out a statement saying they are reversing course, which means they were only doing it so that they could either save more money or charge us more, right? Which would still make them more money. Right. And when they felt as though their lives were now threatened, now they want to protect themselves. It should not have to get to that point.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much gold, artwork, cars you have. You can't take it with you to the afterlife.
There you go.
Right? So,
absolutely.
You look at the Elon Musks of the world who has $354 billion. He could give everyone in America money and still be super wealthy. We have to do more to hold them accountable, make sure they're paying their fair share. Because once you hit a certain tax bracket, you're good. You're good in America. And it's off the backs of a lot of time low income, moderate, working class people, and a lot of Black and brown people in this nation.
Yeah, we're going to have to really spend time keeping our eye on the corporate greed, especially in Delaware, because that's where we are at, but also in our country, because a lot of this is what perpetrates a lot of this crime that's going on. One last thing I want to do, there were certainly no shootings in the city of Wilmington, but there were several vehicle homicides that occurred. One in Wilmington that I know of, one in Newcastle County. Both incidents, I knew the people who were involved, whether it be the victim or the person who caused it. But the one in Newcastle County, a man was hit and killed on Route 13. You got anything on that?
Yeah, so they have identified him. He was a 55-year-old man. And again, there was a young man, 38 years old, who was driving a Tacoma pickup truck, a Toyota pickup truck. And when he stepped into the lane, as the truck was coming, he hit him, and unfortunately, he did pass away. Yeah. Again, I know on 13 they've done a lot of work to try to cut down on people crossing 13. They've either put that barrier in the middle. I don't know if it's fully completed yet. I know the first part is closer to the city of Wilmington is completed because they have seen so many pedestrians hit trying to cross 13. I think it's probably best. They're probably going to need to put like some more footbridges there. I know there's one all the way down by Wilmington University.
And that's another problem because they'll put them in the neighborhoods where people who have couple dollars as opposed to the neighborhoods of those who are poor. So again, we still speak of that corporate greed because that's the only one I know is down there. And then there was right here in the city, right off of Governor Prince Boulevard, there was a 58-year-old woman and who was struck and killed.
Yeah, so again, that was right over by the Goodwill. And again, that was a pedestrian who was hit by a car. Now, I've heard a few different stories with it, that one car was hit into her, and that's how it happened and everything. I drove past it. They had Lee Boulevard and Market Street all blocked off. I didn't know what was going on at the time. I was going up Philadelphia Pike, but again, unfortunately, there was another loss of life in that incident. I pray for both her family and for the drivers and the passengers in the car as well, too.
Yeah, and I heard, because when we're trying to get facts on some of these things, quite naturally, we try to go to the press who's supposed to do their research. But then when you start talking to people in the street as well, try to get information. We try to cipher out, the real deal. And one of the 31-year-old young lady who hit the 58-year-old woman was I happen to know that family, and some of the conversations I've heard is that the 31-year-old car was hit by another car, and then her car was hit and then hit the woman, and it's just she's in trauma. So while we certainly will be praying for the Miss Nancy's family, which is the 58-year-old, we definitely want to keep the 31-year-old in prayer too, because and she stayed. Both of them stayed. Both accidents, they stayed, and people fail to realize that there's a trauma that comes with that. I mean, even if you hit a deer, it's trauma.
Sometimes a deer hits you too.
Is that what? Yeah. Well, I wish I could knock on something, because so far it's been a blessing. But I do want to keep both families in prayer. And for those of you who watch us every week, please make sure that you continue to hold up both families, because it's not like the 31-year-old was reckless. She was not charged with any DUI or anything of that nature. This was an accident that occurred, and we got to keep that family and all families lifted in prayer. Coby, is there anything else you have for this segment? Because I want to.
I think that's it.
I'm anxious to get to the Coby Corner today, but we will come back in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
Smiles are powerful. A simple smile can light up a whole room. And for 25 years, Smile Train has been lighting up the world with smiles. And each smile marks a step towards a brighter future. As the world's largest cleft lip and palate charity, Smile Train has supported more than 2 million life-changing cleft surgeries in over 90 countries, leaving a legacy of resilience, joy, and beaming smiles for generations of children. To learn more about cleft lips and palates and how Smile Train is supporting the cleft community all over the world, please visit smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, lighting up the world with smiles for 25 years.
And we're back. Brother Coby, what's going on with the Coby Corner?
Yeah, so last time we talked about Joe Biden giving a pardon to his son, a blanket pardon to his son. Well, earlier this week, President Biden came back and he is commuting the sentence of roughly 1,500 individuals who will be released and placed on home confinement. again, and he's also pardoning 39 Americans convicted of nonviolent crimes. This is the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. So again, we had talked about him needing to do more. He just couldn't leave office with just doing a blanket pardon to his son. But I also wanted to talk about a few other things. So not included in that was the former Baltimore attorney, Marilyn Mosby.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Who was also very targeted and prosecuted. But then also in there, I feel for their own safety, I've changed my view on this, that the individuals who sat on the January 6th committee, who were duly elected members of Congress, who now Trump has really ramped up that he's going to use his DOJ to go after them, should probably be given a pardon. And that is sad. It highlights the erosion of our democracy, and it's going to hinder the work of our legislative body. Trump has already taken the U.S. Supreme Court with 2 stolen seats. One, Mitch McConnell, one of the Republicans, held for a year of President Obama's last term, during Obama's last term. And then with just months, in October 19th, they confirmed Coby Barrett to replace Justice Ginsburg.
Doing what he said he couldn't do under Obama.
Correct.
Yeah.
With even less time.
Yeah.
With millions of people had already voted when they confirmed her. So again, 2 stolen seats there. Now he's threatening the legislative body. If people don't wake up, we're really going to be in a bad situation. But again, I don't think you should go after elected officials just because they did their job, whether you agree with them or not. They do have the power to do investigations.
And that was justly done.
Yes.
I mean, we saw with our own eyes what happened on January 6th. For those people saying, well, they did it to him. They didn't do anything to him. He did everything to himself. He started with the perpetration of that lie, that it was stolen. And from that, you got all these people uproared. And I'm waiting to see how many people he's going to really forgive for that. Because it's going to shock some people. I believe he's going to only do the ones who were large. I mean, who may have who spoke out the loudest. But a lot of people are going to still be sitting in jail who allowed him to be crazy.
And they deserve to. They destroyed the Capitol. They broke in. They threatened to kill a member of Congress. They killed police officers. So again, that is not something that should be rewarded with you being written off because of who you supported for president. Wrong is wrong. And we're sick and tired of seeing these 2 different tiers of justice here in America. Next, I want to talk about back here in Newcastle County, they accepted a federal investment from the U.S. Treasury for housing assistance to families experiencing homelessness. This is something that is huge. The money will pay for a program called Family Hope Project, which will assist 120 families experiencing homelessness over a 5-year period. The program will provide 90 days of temporary housing at the Hope Center, which has been a blessing in disguise that hotel closed and that we were able to use that ARPA dollars to go ahead and purchase it. 2 years of rental assistance through direct cash payments for rental assistance and 2 years of case management, including financial counseling and other supportive services. It's a $11 million investment that comes out of the Spur Impact Partnerships to pay for the Results Act. This is a huge win for Newcastle County. And I think going forward, I hope the program does not get erased by Elon Musk and Vivek.
What's his promise? Can they do that?
They can. So this new government office is supposed to find $2 trillion in our budget to cut. A lot of that's going to come from social services.
Yeah.
Like programs like this that will be beneficial. Unfortunately, Wilmington City Council and the mayor's office did not apply for this. So we missed out on the opportunity for this. Again, they gave a lot of our federal dollars to developers. They give a lot of incentives to developers. When it came time to actually do something for the everyday people, this would not have raised our taxes to balance a budget or anything. This would have been federal dollars. They did nothing. So this is the issue people have with so many of the local electeds right now. I look forward to working with the new council and working with the new administration on making sure that we try to go for programs like this to make sure we're bringing it in to the city of Wilmington.
Now the ARPA dollars, I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but the ARPA dollars that were assigned to the city of Wilmington.
Yes.
Was it first assigned to the governor, and then the governor gave it to the city, or went straight from the government to the city?
So each municipality was supposed to get money. It came through the treasurer's office and everything, so treasury's office. But once we got the money here, it's just like the city receiving any other, money, right? So whether it's city council has to pass a resolution accepting a gift from for the police department from a foundation or for a federal grant. Same thing with HUD. It has to be approved by city council, right? City council did that, but then gave all the power to the mayor. They tried to fight it in court, but it was too late. They had already gave the power to the mayor. Anything to do with financials, city council is the equal branch, and has the power to be the checks and balances, and should have been. There was a federal audit done on that money that came to Wilmington. And one of the biggest things that I picked up from this, and this isn't Coby saying this is a federal outside auditor saying this, was the question, why was only one branch of government making all the decisions without any input from the city council? This is not Coby saying this. This is a federal audit that was done that says city council didn't do their job.
Well, we knew that, and that's a shame.
Yeah,
because you can blame Coby for anything Coby says, but when it's an outside source, then you got to realize we haven't done it. Now, do you know whether or not there's any ARPA dollars left?
There's very little. Most of it has to be spent by January 3rd, 2025. So most people are spending down, or they're going to have to give that money back to the feds.
January 2025? I thought it was it has to be committed by then.
It has to be committed by then.
Okay.
So you can use it for 2025, but if it's not committed by then it goes back.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah. Next, speaking of the federal level, earlier this week on Wednesday, Senator Tom Carper, who's retiring, gave his final speech on the floor of the House. And there was a few bets on how long he would talk, because he can talk. But in about a 20-minute speech, he summed up over 50 years of his political career, ending, thanking his wife, friends and family, staffers. He served in the Senate from 2001 to 2025, which you don't see that a lot, to stay so long. He never lost an election. From treasurer to Congress to governor to, or the list goes on, to Senate. 50 years of service, to go all the way up to be the Environmental and Public Works Chair. I believe he was Veteran Affairs at one time as well, too. So again, congratulations to him. I'm excited to see a change and face down there as well, too, with a historic election of Congresswoman Lisa Blunt-Rochester, now Senator-elect, soon to be just Senator Lisa Blunt-Rochester, who will be sworn in at noon on January the 3rd.
Okay.
So, again, it's the end of the era, but I think, it's an opportunity for a new start here in Delaware. And as he said, he's still going to be very much involved. He's going to be traveling, seeing friends and family, traveling to other states, seeing his former colleagues and everything. So he won't be going too far.
Yeah.
Next, I want to talk about the update on different transition meetings. So on Monday, Governor Mayor-elect Carney had his public forum where he took input from members of the community. It was about 50 people who attended that, and they took notes. They talked to people about some of the areas that they should be looking at going forward. His report should be coming out pretty soon, and I look forward to seeing what they have come up with. On the Newcastle County side of things, County Executive elect Marcus Henry has named his CAO, which is the Chief Administrative Officer, the number 2 in the county, to be Mona Parikh. Mona is the current Chief of Staff of Wilmington City Council. So we don't have a Chief of Staff anymore. But congratulations to Mona. I've known Mona for almost 10 years now, and super excited for the opportunity for her. The Delaware General Assembly has had some changes as well, too. As you know, Val Longhurst lost her primary, which means she is no longer a representative, which means she's no longer speaker. The speaker-elect is Melissa Minor Brown, who served as majority leader, and she has named her chief of staff to be current Magistrate Judge Nicholas Brock. He will be leaving the bench to go serve as chief of staff for her. He has a lot of experience. He was the chief policy advisor for Wilmington City Council before he went to law school and then became a magistrate judge. And before that, he was the legislative aide to the one and the only Senator Margaret Rose Henry. So again, he has a lot of knowledge of the General Assembly already from her being majority leader during his time down there. So now he'll just be on the opposite side. The last thing I want to bring up about transitions is Matt Meyer, governor-elect, has named one position in his cabinet, which is probably arguably the most important position, which is Secretary of State. We've talked about this position a few times. It's not the person that I have recommended or you have recommended, but he has nominated Chirani Patabana Sanchez to be the Secretary of State, our next Secretary of State, replacing Jeff Bullock. She currently serves as the General Manager of County Land Use Department. Used to be the Economic Development Director as well, too, I believe. But this is the top economic development role for the state. It oversees all the LLCs. Anything that does not have a department is under the Secretary of State, but also all our business dealings, commerce, and stuff like that is Secretary of State's biggest role. So again,
did he give any justification for why he selected her when he announced his? I didn't see the announcement. That's what I'm asking.
I did not see the press release from his transition office on it. I just saw the article. In the article, it doesn't talk about it, but I can go back and look and see.
Yeah, because people who watch us, they would really want to know why he made the choice. We all support Matt and have supported him and hope that we can do it in the future. But one of the things that we want to make sure is we hold everybody accountable. And we don't always get what we want. Right. But we got to make sure that if we don't get what we want, the other option is a better option. You know, and that's why I asked that question. And I'm going to just kind of like be very careful and reserved in what I say at this point.
Good. And just to give people a little background on like what is Secretary of State, right? In some states it's elected, they deal with the elections only. In Delaware, it's a little different. They have a wide range of responsibilities. They are supposed to be like the caretaker of the state's social economic development, our economy, protecting the health and well-being of economic welfare, Delawareans, preserving the state's heritage, the history, and it goes on and on. They serve on the board of pardons, as does the lieutenant governor, the treasurer, the auditor, and Secretary of State. And I believe it's one other position. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. They serve on the Cash Management Policy Board and the State Economic and Financial Advisory Council as well, too. So again, outside of this, the only other people so far that has been named, Matt has expanded his transition team to add Mila Miles to serve as the Transition Communications Director, Ron Van as the Digital Director, and Abigail Tracy to serve as the Deputy Communications Director for the transition team.
What does the transition team do after this is transition?
Yeah, so some of them will also apply for jobs with the administration, and you'll see him hire them on it. He already knows he can trust these people. He's worked with them. He wants them a part of his transition. Other times, they get put on loan from whatever company they're with, or they have their own companies, but they're doing this just for a short window of time. It's from November the 6th is when the transition really starts. You hire up about a week later. You probably already had conversations with individuals, and their last day will be January 20th. Because he gets sworn in on January the 21st. Understood. Yeah. So again, and that'll be the swearing in for him will be held down in Dover. They do a big grand thing. The lieutenant governor will also be sworn in at that time as well too. The Delaware General Assembly, both the state Senate and state House, will be sworn in on January 14th at noon. And then the Newcastle County has already been sworn in. It's their next meeting, you get sworn in, you get working. No fun. Like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Newcastle County exec Marcus Henry will be sworn in at 10 a.m. on January 7th at the Route 9 Library. And then later that night, later that day, if you're in Kent County, if you're watching this, the Levy Court will be sworn in at 5:30. And then later that day, Wilmington City Council, Wilmington Mayor, and Wilmington Treasurer will be sworn in. Ours does not start until 8 p.m. I'm going to have to take a nap.
You're too young to take a nap.
It does not start until 8 p.m., but it will be a very good night. And that will be at the Chase Center. It is open to the public.
Oh, it is?
So we invite you all to come out to it. And then January 3rd is when the federal is sworn in. So both Senator-elect Lisa Rochester and Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride will be sworn in their respective chambers at noon on January 3rd. Good. I think that's everyone.
Yeah, it seems like there's a whole lot going on, but that's good. I'm glad you give an update because you never know what people are interested in.
Yeah.
So they may not have been interested in the whole report, but they was interested in certain aspects of the transitional meetings. All right, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the slumlord that finally got slumped. We're going to talk about city council doing some major pushing all of a sudden, and also want to talk about something that's coming in 2025. We'll be right back. Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a real good conversation. I'm excited. Come on! Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on. And let's get after it.
This land is your land. This land is my land.
This land we love belongs to all of us. Yet, not everyone is treated equally. Right now, millions of Americans are fighting for the things promised to all by the Constitution: freedom, justice, equality. The ACLU is leading the fight to protect our civil liberties. Together, we can protect and advance our rights nationwide, because we the people means all of us.
This land was made for you and me.
Learn how the ACLU is defending the right to vote, free speech, and other civil liberties at myaclu.org.
We are women first, but women with disabilities last.
During a military exercise, we crashed and I broke my neck.
When I was in the Air Force, an accident changed my life. I couldn't have imagined the injustices I would face.
Every day, women like me go to the doctor for annual checkups for conditions like breast cancer. Early detection saved my life. But women with disabilities face a cruel reality: inaccessible medical facilities and equipment.
In the 25 years since my injury, I have not seen a gynecologist. There's not one accessible OBGYN in my community.
I found lumps in my breast. I went to a doctor's office I was told was accessible. But when I got there, I couldn't get through the front door.
I don't know where I'd be today without access to testing. Our veterans deserve better. Help PVA fight for access at pva.org.
Christopher Holton. I'm very active. It was a Saturday morning. Normally I go for my normal walk.
With no warning, Chris suffered a near-fatal heart attack. But thankfully, Brian Buckley, a bystander, saw him collapse and rushed to help.
He did this big gasp for air and then just stopped. It's like I went into autopilot. It's like all that training I did back in the day around CPR just magically came out of nowhere.
Because of the CPR training that Brian received, Chris did make it and didn't die on the trail that day. CPR training provided by the American Heart Association.
Looking at your hands, these two hands could save a life.
Being a father, you want to be around. You want to be around for your kids.
Heart disease is America's #1 killer. To learn more about how the American Heart Association helps save lives, go to helpheart.org.
Smiles are powerful. A simple smile can light up a whole room. And for 25 years, Smile Train has been lighting up the world with smiles. And each smile marks a step towards a brighter future. As the world's largest cleft lip and palate charity, Smile Train has supported more than 2 million life-changing cleft surgeries in over 90 countries, leaving a legacy of resilience, joy, and beaming smiles for generations of children. To learn more about cleft lips and palates and how Smile Train is supporting the cleft community all over the world, please visit smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, lighting up the world with smiles for 25 years.
And we're back. There's one thing we wanted to make sure we do is an update, because in all of our shows we are trying to update as we get information from the police and the press, that the suspect in the Wilmington murder rape case, where the young lady was raped and murdered. Well, after she was murdered, then she was raped. They did extradite the young man back to Wilmington. 26-year-old brother. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. So again, this happened on September the 11th. This was Miss Triplet.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the show earlier. In the Catabaga street, it's like a little half street.
Right.
If you know where like the trophy shop is, like right past there, there's a little street there. his name is Kyle Batson. And again, they found him in Maryland. He was extradited back to Wilmington, to Delaware, where he awaits trial now for the charges. Again, this happened in the early morning on September 11th. I'm glad they were able to finally catch him and bring him back, and hopefully he will face justice that he deserves.
Was there any mental issues or something? Because he's a young brother. And it doesn't seem to be a person that would do such a heinous crime.
So right now he's being held on a $2 million bond. He does have a criminal history that dates back to 2018 for robbery, burglary, gun offenses. So he has been known to commit crime before, but nothing to do with mental health issues. And again, I'm definitely going to be following this case as it goes forward as well too.
Okay. And then it took over 40 years. This was in the paper, in the news this week, and I said I'm going to definitely bring this up. It took over 40 years for them to get this neglectful Wilmington, but really Delaware landlord, whom everybody on the show have talked negative about. Why they didn't answer it in the paper, but this guy, tell us a little bit about him and how you wanted to rent from him and he declined you. That's why you don't like him.
So AJ Pokorny has been one of the worst landlords in the city of Wilmington for decades now. He owns dozens and dozens of properties all throughout all the districts, pretty much. 8th District, 4th District, 3rd, 5th, 6th. He is notorious for just collecting money, taking advantage of people. And of course, he became a superstar in the media after the North Adams Street incident that left so many families out of a home just a few days after paying their rent. Then he put them on like Zillow or one of those, I think it was Realtor, one of them saying, hey, if you're interested, you can send an application to rent these properties, knowing that there's a fence, they're boarded up and everything. He had no intention of renting out. $50 application fees. Dozens of people sent in applications and were not able to get their money back. He just stole their money with no intention of renting out. But also in 2002, there was a cease and desist order sent to him. It did absolutely nothing.
Right, and that troubled me.
Yeah. Again, it also in January 1st, 1996, there was a lawsuit filed against him stating that he rents units that endanger the health, welfare, and safety of tenants and failure to make repairs, supply heat, maintain electrical, plumbing systems, engage in retaliatory evictions when tenants complained about the conditions. I just want to say one thing. The Homes Campaign, a group that I've been a part of since 2019 when we founded it, have been talking about just evictions, been talking about this. It's unfortunate that the chair of the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee on City Council just reiterates the talking points of Bud Friel and different major developers this doesn't happen.
Who was the chair?
Maria Cabrera.
Okay, because we're not afraid to just tell the truth.
And they say this doesn't happen in the city. This has never happened in the city. Well, now there's court documents this happened when I was just 1 year old. And it's been going on all my life. Yeah. And with just one landlord, there's a ton of other slumlords just like him. So again, I hope that this gives us enough ammo that we need to sit down as a council and say, how can we make this better for the city of Wilmington now that it is well documented that there are slumlords who are taking advantage of our residents who are currently here. It's good to want to bring in new people, but we got to protect the people who are here right now.
Absolutely. And, and at some point, we have to stop protecting the wrong. Because this guy was able to, for 40 years, be a slumlord. He has been given a cease and desist order, And he has not stopped because he had friends in the right spots. Again, it goes back to the corporate greed. The rich has and the poor does not. And it's just sickening. And it's very much sad.
Yeah. So again, this is a good step in the right direction of making sure you're holding one accountable, but there's more. So we have to do a lot more. So I look forward.
In other words, you're saying we're coming.
Yes.
Okay, so you look in the camera and say,
absolutely,
we're coming.
We are coming, and we're going to protect the renters here in the city of Wilmington.
Because at the end of the day, if you charging me rent, you should give me a decent place to live. Nothing is perfect. That's why we have repairs, but nothing should be where you have mold, where you don't have hot water, where you don't have a decent place to live. And when I'm looking at some of the things he was cited for, he should have been shut down a long time ago. But we are permitted. We're permitted. It depends on who you're cool with and by what you get.
Absolutely. So again, hopefully these properties will be sold off very quick. And that they go into the hands of people who can actually do something with these properties, and hopefully keep them affordable as well too.
Yeah, and that's going to be key at this point. And affordability doesn't mean slum.
Correct.
I want to make sure that's clear. Well, there's my camera. Affordability does not mean slum. So affordability means we get the same rights and privileges as everyone else have, but it's just at a lower rate. That's what affordability is. Let me go to this last thing that was really interesting. Here recently, I see the city council is moving expeditiously. Can I use that word? Using expeditiously to approve several things. But one of the things they approved, and I remember Sinead talking about it on our show before, is the development rental license fee with a cap.
Yes.
Are you in favor of that?
Absolutely not.
And
absolutely not. If we don't have money to help people, help a grandmother that has raising her grandkids, not lose her water because she owes $2,500, we should not be giving special privileges to developers who could pay their fair share and have not paid their fair share. Ordinance 24-066 increases the business license fees from $75 to $100 per unit for landlords in the city. That's going to hurt mom and pop landlords. That's going to hurt the people who already have affordable housing, cheaper prices housing, because they're going to not pay that out of their own pocket. They're going to raise their rent, right? So you incentivize rent going up here in the city of Wilmington. But it also places a $5,000 limit on a complex that has at least 50 units. What does that mean? If I build 100 units, I'm only paying for half the building now. Why? Oh, because this brings market rate housing here. Most of their housing sits vacant now. And it was only full because the Biden and Harris campaign, then the Harris and Wall campaign was in Wilmington. But some individuals can't think outside of that. They just lost over 180 individuals, broke their lease and said, oh, well, the campaign's over, I'm out of here. Right?
So who's going to pay for that?
We are. We are, because at this time next year, you're going to be sitting down and people on this council are going to say, oh, well, we have to make sure the budget is balanced. So we're going to have to raise taxes. So it's hard. We don't want to do this, but we are left no choice because the measure is expected to cost the city an estimated $165,000 a year. And it passed with 8 yes votes and 2 no votes. The 2 no votes, I'll let y'all guess. President Trippy Congo and Councilwoman Sinead Darby.
Unbelievable.
Councilwoman Harley said that putting a cap limits the passing of fees on to the renters. Well, let's see who's benefited by that. This is a quote she put into the paper, right? Who benefits from that? What renters don't get passed on? You raise the fees. So the low income renters are going to have to eat that because usually they're staying in a property, not a 50 unit complex. So their rent is going to be increased. The developers who have made millions off the city, who've been given property, who've been giving 10-year tax abatements, 15-year tax abatements, who aren't paying their fair share in taxes, who owe the city hundreds of thousands of dollars in water billing, they're the ones who aren't going to have to pass this on to their market rate housing. What does market rate housing mean? If I'm already paying $4,000 for these new apartments, new 2-bedroom apartments that are coming into the city, I think I can handle $25 more, right?
Basically.
Because I have to make 3 times my rent already. So you're making good money.
Yeah.
Now the family who's getting assistance, who is working a minimum wage jobs, and since it took 5 years to raise the minimum wage, and now even though it's going to be at 15 in 2025, it needs to be at 23 just to survive here in Delaware. And if you want to survive in the city of Wilmington, it has to be at $26 an hour, when the average income in the city of Wilmington is less than $27,000, with the vast majority of Wilmingtonians, over 60% of Wilmingtonians, making under $70,000. And if you want to add a little more onto it and take it up to 80, you have almost 80% of the city making under that. This doesn't help any of them.
And I don't think nobody really care.
This doesn't help any of them.
As long as the corporate greed is satisfied, then who cares?
And this is just because this quote was in here, I mentioned her name. But again, this has nothing to do against Bacini Pollen. Their business model is market rate housing. That's good. Do what you do. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to helping our city, we could have did this in a reverse manner. Help the small landlords who are doing the right thing, who aren't slumlords like AJ Pokorny. Help them out. Give them a break so that they can bring their prices down even more. Hold the mayor's administration accountable when you put something in a budget. Yeah, it's great that you can put out a press release saying you put $1.5 million into a housing assistance fund, but if they're not doing emergency housing funding because they're doing a lottery that only happened 3 times, what are you really getting out of it?
All right.
So again, I hope that going forward, people are willing to sit down and break their normal way of thinking.
Well, I think we have a new council.
We do.
I think we have a new council, and I believe that some of the old thoughts are still there, and some of the people who were reelected are there. But what I believe is going to happen is it's going to be much more powerful. I'm going to watch, Coby, to see. Many people have given agreement that they're going to allow the office of the president of city council to restore its power. We're not interested in the individual, the personality. I have no issue with Trippy, but it's about the position of the office, and we're going to watch to see if or not that's going to happen. That's all I'm watching. I'm sitting back being quiet because some of the things that's going on, we cannot hold the city council president accountable.
Right.
If this stuff was going on where they just approved this, I would certainly go after Trippy Congo Wright. I mean, not right. Jesus, I called him. Lord, I put all the funeral homes together. But I would go. But I can't do that because he doesn't even control what goes on the agenda. Because it shouldn't even been on the agenda. It should have waited until the new council came in.
Right.
But they rushed that through, and that's the problem that I have. And I really do have a serious problem with that. So we're just gonna wait and see. And we're going to see how y'all do. Maybe you can go back on your word, too. Maybe you're not going to vote for it.
I hope y'all hold me accountable.
Oh, trust me, I will. Hear across from you. Because one of the things about us, we can disagree without becoming disagreeable. Last but certainly not least, because we only got a couple more seconds left in this show, I want to, Coby, as well as I have been hearing from many of you saying, look, we need some kind of hotline, some kind of email address, some kind of place we can call in. Some of the things that we should be really talking about also on this show. Some of there are many times the press is not picking up on murder, shootings, and things of that nature, and you want to voice your opinion, you want to share certain things. Coming in 2025, that's going to be the addition to our show. We're going to give you the phone number that you can call and be directly connected to the source hotline as well as an email, and we're going to try our best to sift through that and then give you some responses as well as investigate the things that you are interested in. We care about you. This show is not sponsored by the government. This show is not sponsored by any entity, but it's really just Coby and I coming together every week to make sure we are funding it, but we're coming together every week to make sure we give you the most reliable news as possible. Hopefully at some point, you all will continue to watch and continue to put the pressures that we may be able to, even if we can do 2 days a week, it'll be great. But we thank you so very much. Anything else, Coby, you have?
That's all I have.
All right. Once we launch that, we're going to make sure you are aware of it so that you can make sure you can start dialing in. Until the next time we get together, God bless.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Sword. with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Coby Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.